Football live on a Friday night, coming to you live on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, Football 24/7, with our NFL insider, John McMullen. It's preseason week number 1. The Birds and the JETS, Jets, and Johnny Mack checking in from down at Lincoln Financial Field. Johnny Mack, a good Friday night, my friend. How are you, sir?
Yeah, happy preseason opener, Krause, exciting day. It'd be nice to be September 11th in Detroit, but this is part of the process, and at least we got real football, tackling in a live environment.
No doubt about that, Johnny Mack. You know the game is important when they bring me off the shelf to do a pregame show with you tonight. We'll do pregame. We'll be back, and we'll check in with you at halftime, and then we'll get some post-game conversation on the JAKIB YouTube channel as our week 1 preseason coverage here gets underway. Johnny Mack, let's start with what we can expect to see as this game gets underway at 7:30. How long will the starters play? What will we expect to see?
Well, Nick Sirianni said he was going to play them a series or 2. I think he's telling the truth. So everybody who's healthy, I think we're going to see for a little bit. I did see Jordan Mailata working out a little bit before the game. He's been in the concussion protocol, but was able to make it back to practice. So that'll be interesting. A.J. Brown was working out a little bit. If you want to see those guys, though, you better be in your seat early, because when you say a series, if they probably get a first down, the first time they have the football, they might pull them. Maybe if it's 3 and out, you'll see 2 series. But this is a game for the backups and guys fighting for the back end roster spots. And that's what preseason football is. And you'll get to evaluate some of those players. But at least you should get a cameo from some of the star players Eagles fans like to see.
Based on your experience, John, is this the only opportunity during the preseason where the starters will touch the field?
It's interesting because this is a new era, right? We haven't had this 3 preseason game set up very long. This is only the second year, so it's a little bit different. The old school, when there were 4 preseason games, the third preseason game would typically be the big one for the starters. So you don't have the same kind of atmosphere. And the Eagles are having the joint practices in Cleveland and Miami over the next couple weeks after this game. So we know how Nick Sirianni feels about those, and those are going to be more important than the actual preseason games for the starters. So it'll be interesting to see the way he handles it. I go back to last year, and Jalen Hurts, there was some debate whether he would play a little bit, and I think it was that third preseason game, and he got ill before the game, but people remember that. So we never got a real answer. He was. It looked like he was preparing to play, and then, as I said, he got that stomach virus. So it's basically, we'll see at this point, Krause. It's a new era in the NFL. Everybody handles it a little bit differently, but by the way the Eagles handle practice, you would think they would be more apt to err on the side of caution.
John, would the Eagles benefit? You've watched every practice to date. Would the Eagles starting unit benefit more by doing more than just a cameo appearance tonight? Or is it as simple as all of that stuff is being covered during the week?
I think that is dependent on the player, right? I mean, there are certain guys. Jason Kelsey isn't healthy, but and obviously he's not going to play. But guys like Lane Johnson on the offensive line, guys like Fletcher Cox, um, I don't think they need work, to be honest. Now you have Cam Jurgens, who's replacing Jason Kelsey, and I think that's going to be one of the more interesting ways. How do the Eagles handle him? Do they take him out with the rest of the starters in that cameo, or do they understand, look, we got to get this young kid ready the best we can, just in case? I think we all assume Jason Kelsey's going to be back. He's probably going to be back for the Lions game, but you got to prepare just in case. So to me, that's one of the interesting storylines. Jordan Davis is going to be a starting player for this team. You know, he could use some reps. So I think it's dependent on the players and the veterans. No, they don't need that much work. The younger players, yeah, they could probably use it.
John, how about offensively? Does Jalen get any better in this game at all, playing more than a series? Does he benefit if the Eagles didn't take this approach with him?
Yeah, you know, I don't think so. I mean, you hope for a nice outing, but you know, if it's a 3 and out and they pull them versus a 10-play drive and a touchdown, is it going to really matter after 17 games down the road? Probably not. You know, it's Lincoln Financial Field. It's the only preseason game at home this year. So it'd be nice to get the fans excited. But I mean, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference for Jalen Hurts or anybody who's sort of entrenched in the starting lineup.
Football 24/7 with John McMullen. John, of course, down at Lincoln Financial Field. It's preseason week number 1. Our preseason coverage today on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel will also include a halftime report from John McMullen, and then we'll gather some post-game conversation with John as well. We won't talk very much about the talent on this team, or we won't talk very much about the star talent. As John mentioned, they're not going to play very much. I wonder, John, if you can parallel this preseason week 1 to what it was like at the open practice in front of 30-some thousand people. The offense was running the offense. And it seemed to be, from the video that I seen, pretty good atmosphere, pretty good intensity on the fields. Doesn't seem like it's going to be that tonight.
Well, no, I think it will be. One thing about preseason versus all the controlled environment and practice, it is live, so it is different. You know, this will be the first time since last year the Eagles tackled to the ground, so that's something you want to keep an eye on. As we said, it's a different era in professional football, and that's sort of the things you have to work through. And that's where preseason can help to get used to the physicality of the game, because it is physical when you start for real. And, you know, there is a little bit of that sentiment that the first 2 or 3 regular season games are now sort of like preseason games, and the fact that guys are playing their way back into the football, not necessarily shape, but the football mentality from the physicality aspect that I was talking about. Because, hey, you know, if you don't hit until you hit, you're not used to it. And there's something to that aspect that is sort of out of the game now, because you try to make things as safe as possible in practice, and everybody does it. The Eagles are not unique. But then when you show up and you tell the guys, oh, today you got to tackle, today you got to be physical, Well, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get into that.
John, you've been covering, I should probably know the answer to this, but I don't. You've been covering the NFL for how many years?
28, I believe. I don't like to think about that.
28 years, 28 plus, of great coverage around this league. What do you subscribe to in terms of a preseason game? If you're going to hit, you need to hit and be hit. Or do you subscribe to what is the current regime's philosophy of protecting the assets until we get to the green light?
I do. I think the Eagles are on the right side of this issue, not because I think people are arguing the wrong debates in the fact that they think of the old school Andy Reid 2-a-day practices and very physical and pads and hitting and live sessions. Back in the old days, you're not allowed to do that anymore. It was collectively bargained out of the league. So it becomes a cost benefit analysis. And I think the Eagles have kind of done that. And they said, all right, we can't prepare like we want to. We can't prepare like we did in those Andy Reid days. So, is it better to just get to September 11th as healthy as possible? That's their decision. That's what they're debating. And I kind of agree with them. It's better to have as many people as possible, as many key pieces as possible for the regular season. So I think under the rules that they have now, I think the Eagles are making the right decision.
What do they take from a game like this then tonight, John, in terms of from a coaching standpoint? Who are they looking? Who are they watching? Who are they looking to see that's going to make their roster? Is that going to be decided in a game like this, which is the first of three?
From a coaching standpoint, I think the most important part is the logistics. This is the first time they've been on the field, the coaching staff, since obviously the playoff game in Tampa Bay. So what I want to see from the coaches is a clean game. You don't want to see delay of game penalties. You don't want to see confusion on the sidelines. You want to see good communication because that 40 seconds goes quick in between plays in the NFL. I think people don't realize. So it's sort of like a dry run for them on game days. In a lot of ways, I think that's the most important part. It's not sexy, but it's the most important part of these preseason games, that the coaches sort of get the way they do things down and hopefully perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but hopefully as close to perfect as humanly possible. As far as the roster, this team is pretty set, man. This team is. There's not a lot of debates. I've said it before on a number of our shows, Krause. There isn't a lot of doubt on who's going to be on this 53-man roster. You're probably talking about 3 or 4 guys on the back end. And sure, the Eagles will use these games to evaluate that. But, that's one of the good things. And that tells you this is a very good roster because they know who the best players they have are. And there isn't sort of reaching and looking. There's certain positions, backup tight end, they could use another running back. They could probably use another safety. And that might even be for the waiver wire down the road or acquisitions. Maybe you look at Jalen Reagor. Can they trade Jalen Reagor if he plays better in the preseason? Maybe that becomes a viable alternative. The people come calling for Andre Dillard. The people come calling for Gardner Minshew if Reed Sinnett continues to play as well in preseason games as he has in practice. Those are some of the things the Eagles are probably looking at. But as far as the key players on this team, we know who they are.
Boy, I can't help but feel, Johnny Mac, that is a very, very different thought process than just 1 year ago going into preseason week 1 a year ago? I think it's a pretty
It's
tremendously,
tremendously different. A lot of uncertainty coming into last season, starting with the coaching staff, rookie head coach, very young staff as a whole. Now we kind of know what Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen are about. Plus, as I mentioned, the roster and the things Howie Roseman was able to do in the offseason, bringing in A.J. Brown offensively, defensively, Hassan Reddick, Jordan Davis, James Bradbury, all these big acquisitions. It's a much different feel than last year, and the expectations are greater. At this time last year, nobody was expecting the Eagles to make the playoffs. Now everybody is expecting the Eagles to make the playoffs. So that's the difference.
Johnny Mac, my follow-up to that was going to be just that. Is it now a mood of, from a player standpoint, not arrogance, because that's the wrong word, but is it an elevated confidence? Are the players as confident as we are in terms of where they are going into this 2022 season? Because if they are, man, buckle up the boots. It's going to be a great season for Eagles football.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the veteran players, they understand. And Jason Kelsey said this best. He said, usually when people think we're good outside the building, we're not as good as they think we are. And usually when they think we're bad, we're better than they think we are. Mm-hmm. In other words, he knows, look, you can say whatever you want about the talent and about the players assembled. But if they don't work, if they don't do the little things each and every day at practice, they're not going to live up to expectations. The veterans on this team know that. Hopefully they can impart that to the younger players. You don't win games on paper, but good players generally have confidence. So, Darius Slay, probably the best example of that. He might be the most confident person on the face of the earth because he's a good football player and he believes in his ability. Those guys, they're confident and they know what they expect, but that doesn't mean people are going to roll over for you. One thing about the NFL, the Jets are a perfect example. Everybody in the NFL, from the best team to the worst team, has good players. And if you go back to last year, right, the Jets were a terrible team. They beat the LA Rams, who won the Super Bowl.
Football 24/7 with John McMullen down at Lincoln Financial Field here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. It's preseason week number 1. Eagles, Jets. This is our pre-look into the game, which gets underway tonight, Johnny Mac, at 7:30. We won't see much by 7:40. Perhaps the stars of the night will already be retired to the sideline. Perhaps.
Yeah, I think, again, if it's a 3 and out, you might see 2 series for the Eagles offense. If it's a 3 and out for the Jets offense, you might see 2 series for the Eagles defense. If the Eagles go on a 10-play drive, I think that'll be it for the offense. If the Jets go on a 10-play drive, that'll probably be it for the defense. So either way, it's going to be a cameo for those starting level players.
If the Eagles go 3 and out in the first possession and the starters come out and play the second possession and they go 3 and out again, are they still done after the second possession?
Yeah, I would think so. Even in that, you hope not. You hope that's not how it's going to shake out. But there's no, like I said, you'd like to leave the fans with a good feeling, but we talked about that cost benefit analysis. It's more important to get those guys just a little taste, get them out of there, keep them healthy, and try to figure out what you have when it comes to depth and your backup players.
All right, good stuff tonight, Johnny Mac. We'll see you right back here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, and we'll see you at halftime. And then, of course, in the post game, at the end of the game, we'll get some post game comments tonight live across the JAKIB YouTube channel. John, I guess just to make it fun, do you have a prediction on the game tonight?
Well, if you force me to make a prediction,
I know you don't like doing that, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
I'm picking the Jets, and I'll tell you why. Because they have a good third-string quarterback. Mike White played a lot of football last year, had some big games. Joe Flacco, our old friend, is their backup. So typically, when you look at preseason, the guys who have the better third-string quarterbacks got a good chance to win the game. And you know, the Eagles have Reed Sinnett, who's had a good camp, as I mentioned, but he's not Mike White. And Carson Strong has not had a good camp. So from that perspective, you know, if I was forced to bet, I would first check myself in because I have a problem. But if I was forced, I'd probably pick the Jets.
All right. Good stuff from Johnny Mack. Great to be back on the JAKIB YouTube channel. Johnny Mack, I'll see you at halftime. Also at halftime, I'll update everyone on our brand new JAKIB postgame show. So we have a lot to talk about. Our pregame show for 2022. There it is, the JAKIB postgame show coming this Eagles season. We debut on Sunday, September 11th, following the Eagles-Lions 3 minutes after the game concludes. We'll be right here and on 6abc.com. And, of course, John McMullen will be reporting from Detroit. We have a big announcement coming about one of our great current Eagle veterans joining the JAKIB lineup. So look for that. We're rolling out some new programming that's going to start on the 29th of August. So we're expanding our football coverage on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We've added a full pregame show, a halftime show, and a postgame show. And by the way, on Saturday, September 10th, for everyone that is within the region that would love to come down and join us for our kickoff of the football season, you'll see some or hear some information coming about our very special event with the post-game show for you, the subscribers. And you'll get a chance to meet the team and meet our team, meet the post-game team, and Mike Missinelli will be there, and Seth Joyner will be there, and the great Derek Gunn will be there, and Devin Caney will be there, and all of the JAKIB media or JAKIB Sports personalities on the channel will be there on the 10th for our great kickoff to what will be an incredible, incredible season. And we're glad you're with us. Shout out to all of our new subscribers, and a big thank you to all of our subscribers who have continued to help JAKIB Sports and our YouTube channel grow. That's going to do it for this special edition of preseason week number 1. I'm glad to be off the shelf for tonight. Tomorrow, Xander puts me back on the shelf. See you at halftime, everybody.